Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So Manchester United have just joined with Chelsea 1-1 at Old Trafford as well. So that all but confirms that Manchester United are in Europa League football next season as well. So I definitely think now top four has gone to be quite honest. But the most frustrating part about it is, we've had the opportunities, to get in into that top four of course as well. But for me, if we would have got the top four, it would have been a fantastic achievement indeed in Champions League football for next season as well. Looking at the situation, we was in, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, first took over as well, because we was 11 points behind top four, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, first took over as well. So in this game today, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, had made 5 changes in the squad, of course. Eric Bailly, got a rare start as well. Eric Bailly, just recently recovered from a head injury as well, but he did get a rare start today. Also, too, Herrera was welcomed back into that midfield as well. Also, Mata started today as well. These players haven't been playing, for quite a long time as well, but they did get a start today as well. And I think Matt was like playing in that free role, was he, something like that as well. But reflecting on that first half performance, I thought the first half was very, very good, to be quite honest with you as well. I thought we played with a high level of intensity. I thought the movement was good. I thought the rhythm was really, really good indeed. And we took the lead just after the 10-minute mark, Juan Mata scoring against his former club. Juan Mata, I think, is 31 today as well. It was good. It was lovely build-up play, for the goal, to be quite honest, lovely little dink, from Romelu Lukaku, to find Luke Shaw, Luke Shaw, passed it into Juan Mata, and it was a lovely finish from Juan Mata, and that was 1-0, to be quite honest. And I thought Chelsea defensively, were very, very poor in the first half. I thought, David Luiz and Rudiger, were very, very sloppy. Indeed, so Chelsea defensively, were very, very poor in the first half. They didn't really pose much of a threat in the first half, Chelsea, to be quite honest. They did look good, when they had the possession, Chelsea, to be quite honest. But I thought the first half, I thought Romelu Lukaku, played very, very well in the first half for Manchester United as well. I thought he was getting some runs in behind. He was very, very aggressive in his play. And Lukaku did play well in the first half, to be quite honest with you as well. I thought Herrera, played quite well as well. I thought Pogba, played well in the first half for Manchester United as well. But there wasn't really much chances, created in the game, to be quite honest with you. And that's been our problem, to be quite honest with you. We haven't been scoring enough goals. We haven't been ruthless enough in front of goal. We haven't been, clinical enough in that attacking third of the pitch as well. So you can see potentially, the deficiencies in the squad as well. And potentially again another error from David De Gea. Of course, Chelsea got level, just before half time. It was a long range effort, I think, from Rudiger. It was a save from David De Gea, but it was another mistake from David De Gea, and that allowed Marco Alonso, to run in for the rebound and make it 1-1 as well. So then potentially, half time comes. Then potentially the second half was a total different game. To be quite honest with you, Chelsea got into the game. They were posing a threat with Chelsea. They were committing more men forward as well. I thought Chelsea defensively, they defended really much better in that second half as well. Potentially we also saw in the game, obviously Eric Bailly now has sustained another injury. He come off in the game as well. I think Manchester United probably got to get rid of him in the summer because he's injury prone, Eric Bailly, to be quite honest with you, and he's heading into his 4th season now as a Manchester United player. We also saw Rudiger go off injured for Chelsea as well. I think this is why this is where the 7 minutes of stoppage time came from. But yeah, Bailly came off injured, Rudiger came off injured. I think also Willian was limping as well. But Solskjaer had brought some substitutions on in the second half. We saw Sanchez come on in the game. We also saw Marcus Rojo come on for the injured Eric Bailly, and Scott McTominay came on for Juan Mata as well. But as I did currently say, the first half, was very, very good. And, the first half performance, was the element of performance, that we did see under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in his first 3 months at the club as interim manager. But I thought, the second half, was a total, different performance, to be quite honest. I thought Chelsea, played better in the second half, to be quite honest. But there wasn't really any chances, to be quite honest. Marcus Rojo had an effort cleared off the line as well. So there wasn't really much chances in the game, to be quite honest with you as well. But potentially, as I did currently say, there was no Martial playing today. You can question some of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, tactics, to be quite honest. Maybe Martial should have come on in the game. Obviously, Lingard wasn't playing today as well. And, for me, the likes of Martial and Jesse Lingard in the last couple of months anyway, have been really, really underperforming, to be quite honest. The majority of these Manchester United players, do need the reality check, to be quite honest with you. And obviously, we are expected, to walk straight a big summer clear out as well. But I definitely, think top 4 is over now, to be quite honest. Probably Chelsea are going to end up getting that top 4 now, to be quite honest, because obviously, they're going to be really, really happy with the point. Obviously, they could still potentially, win the Europa League as well, because they've got a big game coming up in the Europa League against Frankfurt as well. And you could say, from a Chelsea perspective, that's a really, really good season. You know, if they can get in that top four, if they can, win the Europa League as well, that's a very, very good season for Chelsea, considering that it's only Maurizio Sarri's first season at the club as well. But for me, we're just not clinical enough in the final third. But in that first half, we were really, really good on the ball. You know, played with a lot of tempo and all that as well. You know, committed a lot of forward, but we didn't really create a lot of big chances in that game. You know, to be quite honest with you. But then Chelsea came out a total different team in the second half. You know, they started to play. Did Chelsea? You know, we was on the back foot in the majority of that second half as well. So potentially in the first 15 minutes of the game, I thought tactically, you know, we got it right, to be quite honest with you. And then all of a sudden, like, Chelsea figured us out and all that, and they adjusted to that. You know, did Chelsea? To be quite honest with you, I think they had a couple of chances. You know, they had one right at the end. You know, through Gonzalo Higuain as well. But yeah. Draw 1-1. You know, I think now we've won 2 out of 10 games as well. So potentially you can see the deficiencies in the squad. You know, potentially, you know, we do need to rebuild this summer. But reflecting back when I look at Solskjaer, I know was the interim manager of the club in his first 3 months. Everything was going right. The performances were good. The results were really, really good as well. And he was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations as well. Did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I don't know why it's gone all wrong. Is it something to do with a different level of pressure? I do not know. You know, I still believe he's probably the right man that can take Manchester United forward. I know he hasn't got a great managerial pedigree. He hasn't really got the experience, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I maybe still believe he's the right man that can take this club forward as well. We've got to give him another season. Got to give him time, you know, to spend money in this summer transfer window. Of course, obviously he's going to need backing as well as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But as I said, you know, the majority of these Manchester United players, of course, do need a reality check. Of course, you know, because Rashford, you know, was starting today as well. I don't think Rashford again, you know, was it his potential best? You know, Marcus Rashford, and he's been underperforming now at least in the last couple of months as Marcus Rashford. As I did say, he is still in the process of developing. You know, he's only 21 years of age. He's been in United players since age 7, age 8, something like that as well. I think he went. If I'm right, did he go off limping? Did he go off the pitch limping? Marcus Rashford, but he has sustained quite a few injuries, and I think it's taken its toll on Marcus Rashford. You know, to be quite honest with you. But as I did currently say, you know, potentially, you know, he hasn't emulated to that level yet. You know, Lukaku, as I did say, he had a great first half. Did Romelu Lukaku, as I said, you know, I praised him for his first half performance, but I don't think he was that good in the second half, to be quite honest. So I think, you know, he also, you know, needs to go in the summer as well. Also, there has been a lot of talks of him leaving, you know, Romelu Lukaku, because I think he's heavily linked to Juventus. I think Inter Milan have also been interested in him as well, and I think he's intending on going to Italy this summer, is Lukaku, because potentially, you know, he did admit that he dreams of playing in Italy. You know, Romelu Lukaku, Manchester United, you know, paid big money for him. You know, we paid £75 million, you know, plus 15 million in add-ons, which had risen it up to 90 million as well. But for me, the majority of this Manchester United squad is not reliable enough at the moment, you know, to be quite honest with you. And we've got to bring at least 5 new additions to the club this summer as well. And we do know a lot of money has been spent at Manchester United, of course, since Ferguson left. You know, a lot of money has been invested into the club, about £700 million being spent. But I'd say the majority of that money has been spent on the wrong players. You know, the majority of that money has been spent, you know, on the wrong players with the wrong mentality and all that. And we've seen players come in and we've seen players go as well. And I think we're at least 3 or 4 years off being at competitive elite level football club as we was under Alex Ferguson as well. But yeah, Lukaku's agent has basically, you know, even said himself, his current agent, that he's basically, you know, open to the move this summer. You know, there were talks going on today as well, you know, prior to this game as well. There were talks going on today that if Manchester United, you know, if Man United are going to sell Lukaku and Pogba this summer, Manchester United could reportedly, you know, cash in around £200 million for the duo as well, because as I did say, Lukaku is heavily linked with a move to Juventus and Inter Milan, of course, and Pogba is heavily linked with a move to Real Madrid, of course, as well. Potentially, I thought Paul Pogba, you know, stepped up to the plate today. I thought he improved, you know, Paul Pogba. I thought he looked pretty decent in the first half. Did Paul Pogba, you know, to be quite honest with you, for my own preference, you know, to be quite honest with you. But I think, you know, his performance has been way below par, you know, prior to this game, at least in the last 6 or 7 games, something like that. You know, there was a lot of talks going out yesterday, you know, from the Spanish press, saying that Paul Pogba has agreed personal terms. He's also agreed the wages as well. I think he's agreed around a £10 million a year deal with Real Madrid. But, you know, Paul Pogba, you know, was talking a lot about Real Madrid, you know, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that just indicates he's not intending on spending the rest of his playing career in England as well. But he's a world-class midfielder, is Paul Pogba. But for me, he's just not really, you know, for me, Paul Pogba is not, you know, playing around world-class players at Manchester United, of course. But if he's to go to Madrid, he's going to be playing amongst better players as well. And maybe a player like Paul Pogba, you know, a player of his calibre, you know, wants to play to the highest level Obviously, wants to be up there challenging and winning trophies, of course, as well. And this is maybe why he wants to go to Real Madrid as well. We could probably get at least around 120, 130 million pounds for him this summer. And I think this is what Manchester United, potentially want. And with that money, we could potentially get two players, with that money as well. Paul Pogba's still got over 2 years left on his deal at the club, with an option of a further year as well. But his agent Mariola, has been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club as well. The reports coming out quite a few weeks about saying that Manchester United were willing to offer Paul Pogba the captain's armband, to stay at the club, to give offering the captain's armband on a full-time basis, to convince Pogba, to stay at the club as well. But yeah, I think he's going to be going to Real Madrid in the summer. Is Paul Pogba, because I did say he's been talking a lot about them. Zinedine Zidane, of course, is a big admirer of the player, and he did say a couple of days ago, did Paul Pogba, that he's basically, told Manchester United teammates that he's intended on leaving the club this summer. But as I did currently say, Solskjaer, from his own preference, thinks he'll still be at Manchester United next season. He did say there is no current guarantees, but Solskjaer has actually, spoken to Paul Pogba as well. And actually, Paul Pogba's built a great relationship up with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as I said. Reports came out the other week saying that their relationship, was slowly fading and all that. But when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managed Manchester United reserve team, he watched some of this, team now at this day and age, grow and develop. And obviously, one of them was Paul Pogba as well. Obviously, now he's heading into his fourth season as a United player. He's now third year at Manchester United, because Manchester United paid around £8 to £9 million for him from Juventus. Obviously, there has been talks, that Juventus have also been linked with him as well, his former club. But maybe Juventus may not be able to afford him. So it did say Juventus may have to offload a couple of their players in the process, so they can afford Paul Pogba as well. But Juventus have also met up with his agent Raiola as well. So potentially, I do think Pogba's going in the summer. Maybe some people may be happy about this. Maybe some people may not be happy about this, because it may be difficult, to find an adequate replacement that's in like the same level as Paul Pogba as well. But I don't think his first half display, was too bad today. To be quite honest with you, for me, Nemanja Matic, I know we paid quite a bit of money for him as well. We paid £40 million for Nemanja Matic, but for me, he's too ineffective in that midfield. He's too slow. To be quite honest with you. I saw suggest signs today in that game. Matic is just too slow, to be quite honest with you. Loses the ball far too easily, and I think he's got to leave Manchester United this summer as Nemanja Matic. Of course, he's well Premier League proven, and in some games, he has proven himself fantastically well as Nemanja Matic. But for me, he's just not reliable enough as Nemanja Matic, and this is why I said we need a centre defensive midfielder, of course, that's fast and tenacious as well. As I was saying about Eric Bailly, as I said, he came off injured in the game. But for me, he's injury prone, is Eric Bailly, and he hasn't really been getting into the team this season. Eric Bailly, he has been in and out of the team this season, and since Solskjaer's coming, he has preferred the likes of Smalling and Jones ahead of Eric Bailly as well. And Eric Bailly is now heading into his fourth season now as a Manchester United player as well. But he's too injury prone, to be quite honest with you. So maybe, we do need to get rid of Eric Bailly in the summer. Potentially, as I did say, Ashley Young, I don't know why he was selected again today. I would have, put Diego Dalot there at that right back position, to be quite honest with you. Diego Dalot is still in the process of developing, but obviously, he's a better solution than obviously, of course, Ashley Young as well. Obviously, Ashley Young's passed his sell-by date at the club. And this is obviously, Ashley Young's 8th season as a Manchester United player. Of course, he's made over 300 other appearances in all competitions for Manchester United, and we still potentially he's our first choice right back. But as I did say, you've got to question some of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics, as I said, because he needs to be dropping Ashley Young, as I do keep currently saying. So I would have put Diego Dalot at right back, to be quite honest today, and that's who I would have started with. Even if Diego Dalot was limping on one leg, I'd have still preferred him over Ashley Young as well. But yeah, Ashley Young needs to go this summer. I think it was bad business from the club, giving him that new 1 year extension as well. And potentially that's one of the positions where Manchester United have got to strengthen up, that right back position as well. So we do need, someone young and ambitious on that right hand side as well. And what's going on with David De Gea again? He's made another mistake today. That's quite frankly, cost us that's cost us the points as well. De Gea with another mistake again. Is that about 4 or 5 mistakes now? He's done on the trot or something like that. And I still think David De Gea, does want to beat Manchester United, but I think he's going through a difficult period at the moment. Is David De Gea, and it does happen. It does happen. That's just the way football works, to be quite honest with you. But he's going through a difficult period at the moment. David De Gea, is it something to do with a contract issue? I do not know. I do know that Manchester United have been in talks, of course, of getting David De Gea a new contract at the club as well. Obviously, he's attracting interest from Paris Saint-Germain. Obviously, David De Gea, as I said, this is his 8th season at the club. He's been a good servant. He, as I said, he's made over 300 appearances in all competitions as well. And quite frankly, still one of the potential, he's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He's David De Gea as well. But what's going on with him at the moment? David De Gea. Reports came out the other week saying that De Gea was demanding around £350,000 a week from the club. If he was to sign a new contract term as well, because in his current deal at the moment he's on around £200,000 a week, but he's still under contract here till the summer of 2020 as well. So could he potentially possibly leave in the summer as well? Because if Man United cannot come to an agreement to get him a new contract, obviously we'd have to be forced to sanction him off this summer, so we can cash in for him rather than letting go on a free transfer the summer after as well. We've got Juan Mata. It was good to see Juan Mata score today, as I said, against his former club. It was good build-up play for the goal. Luke Shaw was a big part to playing as well. But Juan Mata, as I currently said, he's not playing to the highest level anymore. It was good to see him, get given a chance today as well. But he's coming to an end of his contract term at the end of the season as well. And obviously he's 30. I think he's 31 today, Juan Mata. And obviously, even if we did come to an agreement to get him a new contract, which I don't see happening, it'd only be like a 1-year extension or something like that, considering that Juan Mata is in his 30s as well. But I think he was playing in that 3 role today, was Juan Mata, just behind Lukaku and Marcus Rashford as well. I don't think Juan Mata had a bad first half, to be quite honest with him as well. But he hasn't played for a long time as Juan Mata, at least a couple of months or something like that as well. So potentially I think he's going to be going in the summer as well. He's Juan Mata. So a lot of players, are going to leave Manchester United this summer. You've got Ander Herrera as well. Obviously, getting back into the team today, which was very, very good to see Ander Herrera. And I don't think he did too bad, Ander Herrera, to be quite honest with you. And I do really, really highly rate him, to be quite honest with you. And then, obviously, he comes to an end of his contract, very, very soon indeed. Obviously, we're still willing to play him, for the remainder of these 2 games. We played him today. It's probably likely we'll be playing him in the next 2 remaining games as well. Because Ander Herrera, if you look at it statistically, early, when he was playing, earlier on in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign, the majority of the games, when he was playing, we did win, to be quite honest with you. And obviously, this is Ander Herrera's 5th season at the club, of course, and, he's been a good servant to Manchester United, as we all know. Manchester United have been locked in contract negotiations with Ander Herrera, but obviously, we've not come to an agreement to get him a new contract. It allegedly said that he was demanding quite a bit more money, was Ander Herrera, and reportedly Manchester United were not willing to meet that. Reports came out, obviously, yesterday saying that Herrera has agreed a 4-year deal with Paris Saint-Germain, so everything's been agreed now with Paris Saint-Germain. Everything has been agreed with Paris Saint-Germain, so he's agreed a 4-year deal reportedly. The terms have been agreed, and I think he's set to earn around £150,000 a week with Paris Saint-Germain as well. But recent reports did come out saying that Atletico Bilbao, his former club, were interested, but I think that was too late to process, because obviously he'd already come to an agreement with Paris Saint-Germain as well, Ander Herrera. So obviously now we're going to have to emphasise a couple of targets, that could possibly replace Herrera. Obviously, we need to find someone that could potentially, replace Paul Pogba as well, because it is looking likely, Paul Pogba is going to Madrid in the summer. But Herrera's been a good servant to the club now. I think he's made 188 appearances now in all competitions as well as Ander Herrera, and he can break up the play very, very well. Can Ander Herrera is tenacious. He's very, very good. Is Ander Herrera, to be quite honest with you. I really, really like him. So it's a shame that he's going in the summer as well. So we just haven't been able, to come to an agreement, to get him a new contract term as well. But yeah, a lot of players are going to leave the club this summer. We do know that Valencia is going this summer as well when his contract term expires. This is Valencia's 10th season now at Manchester United, as we all know. He's made over 300 appearances in all competitions, but obviously he's definitely going in the summer, because obviously the club opted against the decision, to give him that new 1-year extension as well. So he's going when his contract expires this summer. I definitely want Smalling and Jones out of the club in the summer as well. I know Smalling didn't play today, but potentially I want Smalling and Jones out of the club this summer, because they're not good enough, to represent Manchester United anymore. This is not Chris Smalling's 9th season at the club now. He's made over 300 appearances in all competitions as Chris Smalling. So yeah, and I think it was a bad mistake, for Manchester United, giving Smalling a new long-term contract, giving Jones a new long-term contract term as well. I think Phil Jones has been here a good 8 seasons now as well. I also think that Darmian's definitely on his way out of the club in the summer as well. Darmian's endured a very, very difficult time. He was a Manchester United player, and I think Manchester United, did trigger that 1-year extension. I think we did trigger that 1-year extension. So if he is to leave this summer, we can cash in for Matteo Darmian as well. I think he's been here since 2015. But as I did currently say, so for me, Fred should have maybe started today, to be quite honest with you, because I think, For Fred, I think in the last 2 or 3 games at least, he has really stepped up to the plate, to be quite honest, when he has been playing Fred. I still don't know if he's a long-term solution, Fred, to be quite honest. I think at this moment in time, he's a better solution than Nemanja Matic at this moment in time. I know Fred didn't play today, but as I said, most recently, he has really stepped up to the plate, to be quite honest, as Fred. So, Fred, didn't play today as well. I also think Sanchez, I saw Sanchez, come on in the game as well. But for me, Sanchez is so inconsistent as a Manchester United player, and he has no future at the club. Does Alexis Sanchez, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, he's the highest paid player at the club. He's the highest paid player in the Premier League as well. Is Alexis Sanchez, but that's totally affecting our wage structure in a bad way, because now we have got quite a few players, that are demanding quite a bit more money as well. But Sanchez hasn't got a future at the club. When he has played, he just looks so restricted. Just looks as though he hasn't been getting that freedom, to be quite honest with you. And he has sustained, quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. He's just recently recovered from knee injury, Alexis Sanchez. So potentially for me, he needs to leave the club in the summer as well. So I think up to at least 6 players, could depart Manchester United this summer. Solskjaer wants to bring at least 5 new additions in as well. But some of the blame, does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I did say some of his tactics are questionable, to be quite honest with you. But none of this team is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, because he's obviously inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. He's inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. There's still some players here from Louis van Gaal. There's still matter here from the David Moyes era. There's still 4 or 5 players here from the Alex Ferguson era as well. So none of this team is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So potentially, we've still got to back him. We've got to give him the summer to spend money as well, and that is the most important thing indeed. But I think we have ended our run of 3 straight defeats, but we didn't win today. We drew as well. So I think we've only won 2 now in 10 games, is it? Or something like that as well. So it just potentially isn't good enough, to be quite honest. And now we're seeing element of the performances that we saw under Jose Mourinho as well, and it's not good enough. And we're starting to see element in the performances, that we saw under Jose Mourinho as well. As I did say, it's just not good enough, to be quite honest. So I think Solskjaer's going to get around 250 million to spend this summer. Obviously, we know the club is still looking to hire a director of football to come in, to change the club structure and all that as well. I think Mike Phelan is in line, to become our first technical director. Well, there was a lot of talks about that as well. There's also been talks about Paul Scholes going on as well, the former Manchester United player as well. There's been a lot of talks about him going on, saying that Manchester United, could offer him a role at the club. So there has been reports saying that Paul Scholes, could return to the club. Obviously, Paul Scholes was obviously, the Oldham manager. He only had a short tenure as Oldham manager. I think he was there a month or something like that. Obviously, he resigned as Oldham manager, did Paul Scholes. I think he had some kind of disagreements, something like that. I'm not too sure, but I think there has been talks that he could return to Manchester United as well. So I have been hearing talks about that as well. But yeah, you can see the deficiencies in the squad. And, we've got to address these problems in the summer, because potentially our recruitment policy is very, very poor indeed. We've got to be ruthless in the summer transfer window, as I currently said, and we've got to get the right players. I've got the ability to elevate Manchester United at least in the next 2 to 3 years, of course, as well. Because potentially now, it's going to be hard now for us to get the players to the highest level in the summer, because obviously, players to the highest level, want to be in Champions League football, and it's definitely now, we have definitely, missed out on that top 4 as well. But it's very, very frustrating indeed, because obviously, Arsenal losing today by 3 goals to 0 at Leicester. Arsenal have lost 3 out of 3 now, of course. I think, what's his name? Ainsley Niles, got sent off in that game. Leicester, I think Jamie Vardy got 2 of Leicester's goals as well. So essentially, yeah, Leicester beat Arsenal comfortably today by 3 goals to 0 as well. So there was an advantage there, for Manchester United as well. So Arsenal have had 3 straight defeats on the trot as well. Potentially, other results today, Manchester City winning, was it at Burnley by 1 goal to 0, and Manchester City had just got over the line, against Burnley, to be quite honest with you, and Burnley, put up a good fight, to be quite honest with you, but, it was an Aguero goal. I think it was just inches over the line, to be quite honest with you, but it doesn't matter, the old count, to be quite honest with you, and I think, City are going to win the league, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, City have got the experience, Liverpool aren't, to be quite honest with you, and, yes, I do potentially, think Manchester City are going to win the league, but Manchester City City a great team. You know, the well-established club. The philosophy is good. You know, they've got great players. They've invested into their club well. You know, their personnel's very good. Indeed, is Manchester City's, and Pep Guardiola is a really good manager. You know, to be quite honest with you as well. So I do potentially think Manchester City are going to win the league. But reflecting back on Arsenal, you know, Arsenal are sort of like on the same sort of level as Manchester United at the moment. Arsenal, because obviously it's only Unai Emery's first season as Arsenal manager. You know, to be quite honest, and I think Arsenal have obviously, you know, got to give him time, you know, to strengthen up in the next couple of transfer windows. You know, to be quite honest with you, because potentially, you know, Arsenal haven't got the team, you know, to be up there, you know, mounting a title challenge. And Arsenal last summer, you know, got what 5 players in, but I think they only cost around £70 million, was it, or something like that? You know, they were only restricted to loan signings, you know, back in January as well. And you know, Arsenal have got really good players in that team. As I said, you know, I like Aubameyang and Lacazette. I think they're a great partnership in their team. You know, I also, you know, I think you know, Jack is good for them. I also like Lucas Torreira as well. I think he's a really good player for Arsenal. But yeah, potentially, you know, they've got to give Unai Emery time. It's only his first season, but he has got a pretty decent pedigree, you know, because he won trophies when he was Paris Saint-Germain manager. You know, he won trophies, you know, when he was the Sevilla manager as well. But potentially, you know, Arsenal have got to give him time, you know, to be quite sure. But they're in a bad vein of form at the moment. You know, they have lost 3 games on the trot as well of Arsenal. So yeah, Leicester winning comfortably by 3-0 in that game. So there you go. We've had the opportunities, you know, to get in that top 4, and that is the most frustrating thing, you know, to be quite honest with you as well. So I think we're going to miss out on that top 4. I think we're definitely, you know, going to be in the Europa League for next season as well. It's potentially, you know, not good enough, you know, to be quite honest with you. And you know, as I do keep saying, I still think Solskjaer, you know, is the right man for Manchester United. As I did say, he hasn't really got the experience, you know, he hasn't got a great managerial pedigree, but I still believe he can take this team forward, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think, you know, as I did say earlier on in the video, we're at least 3 or 4 years off being that competitive elite level football club as we was under Ferguson. I think we're at least 2 years off, you know, we're at least 2 years off City's level and Liverpool's level, and you know, we're going to need to get the right players in, you know, for us to graduate to City's level and Liverpool's level as well. So potentially I've identified the positions where we need to strengthen up. We need a right back in there, we need a central defender, maybe 2. You know, we need definitely a couple of additions in midfield. We definitely need a right winger. We definitely need a striker, especially, you know, if Lukaku leaves as well. Maybe on the left hand side, you know, I'm not too critical about the left hand side, because I think the left hand side, to be quite honest, is okay on that left hand side, because I think that's where the majority of our attack comes from, that left hand side. You know, I really like Luke Shaw. You know, he's our first choice left back as well as Luke Shaw. And he's quite reliable on that left hand side. Is Luke Shaw. You know, he played a part for our first goaler today. You know, for our goaler today. You know, which is very good. Indeed, he's still got a lot of years ahead of him as Luke Shaw, to be quite honest with you. But you can see, you know, where we're lacking in the squad as well. So what players, you know, would you bring to Manchester United this summer? And I do potentially know that we know we're linked with quite a few central defenders, and I think, you know, Koulibaly, you know, would be fantastic for us indeed. You know, so, you know, he'd be fantastic in our back line. He'd partner alongside Victor Lindelof, you know, very well in our back line. And we do know he's going to cost us around at least 110 million pounds this summer, you know, if Napoli are willing to do any business for him. So we do potentially know we're going to have to pay a world record fee for Koulibaly. But I think if he was to come to the Premier League, you know, Koulibaly, I think, you know, he would produce and deliver the element of the performances, you know, that he's been doing in Napoli. That he's been doing in Italy, for the number of years he's been there. You know, this is now his 5th season with Napoli, as well as Koulibaly's. You know, I think he's made over 200 appearances for Napoli in all competitions, as well as Koulibaly. So that's the type of central defender, you know, we would want to, you know, recommend to come in as well. He recently signed a new deal with Napoli, so he's on contract with Napoli until 2023. Is Koulibaly, but you know, Manchester United have been heavily linked to him. We're linked to him back in January. I think we had 3 bids turned down for him in January. You know, we're linked to him last summer as well. So the rumours, you know, do continue to persist about that as well. And we do know there's much cheaper alternative, you know, than Koulibaly. We do know there's been a lot of talks about Tottenham's Toby Alderweireld as well, and he's available for £25 million this summer. Is Toby Alderweireld, and you know, Toby Alderweireld, you know, this is what his 4th season is it now with Tottenham, something like that. I think he's made over 100 odd appearances in all competitions for Tottenham as well. He's nowhere near the same levels as the likes of the Koulibalys or the Rafael Varans, the Diego Gordons, you know, the top class central defenders. But I think it'd still be a good upgrade in our defence, you know, currently of already what we've got at the moment as well. But he's refused to sign a new contract with Tottenham, so that just potentially, you know, indicates that he probably, you know, does want to leave Tottenham this summer, does Toby Alderweireld as well. Manchester United were heavily linked to him last summer, but obviously, you know, we couldn't come to an agreement, you know, to get Alderweireld last summer as well. So the club have been linked to him, and he possibly, you know, could be one of our first signings, you know, that comes in the summer. Yeah, he possibly could be one of our first signings that comes in the summer as well. Could either way, well, and potentially, we've been linked with quite a few right backs as well, and there has been a lot of talks about PSG's Thomas Meunier going on as well, and I do really like Thomas Meunier. To be quite honest, I think he'd be a good adequate replacement for Antonio Valencia. Reports have been saying that PSG want around 26 million for him this summer. I think it did say around 26 million this summer. It says Arsenal and Chelsea have been interested in Thomas Meunier as well. He's 27 years of age. He's still got a lot of quite a few years ahead of him as Thomas Meunier as well. He's got goals in him, he can provide assists, his defensive abilities are very, very good indeed. He is tall as well, which is very, very beneficial, and I think he's versatile, and he can play in quite a few positions can Thomas Meunier, but he has been at Paris Saint-Germain quite a few years now as well. So potentially, do you think he'd be the right solution, if he was to come to Manchester United in the summer, but he's only got 14 months left on his contract with PSG as well. There's been a lot of talks about Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well. I think, he'd be a good prospect, if he was to come to Manchester United. He's still one of England's youngest upcoming prospects. He's probably still in the process of developing, because he's only, 21 years of age. He obviously, he doesn't play for a big club, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He only plays for Crystal Palace, and he only broke into their first team last year, did Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well. And I think he's valued at around 35-40 million pounds, or something like that as well. So Manchester United have been potentially linked to him, but we are aware that there's quite a few players out there for a reasonable figure, of course, and maybe some people are saying we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, and maybe, not spend too much money on one player, as I do keep saying, because there's quite a few players out there for a reasonable figure. Maybe not as potentially as good, but, maybe we could get maybe 2 or 3 players for maybe £100 million, or just more, rather than pay, £100 million for one player as well, because you can't get every single player in the world that you currently want, to be quite honest with you. But we need some, we need players, to come in, that would fit the Manchester United agenda, and that's the most essential thing indeed. But we're looking to get a couple of additions in that midfield as well. Potentially, we need someone that can replace Herrera. We probably need someone that can replace Paul Pogba as well in our midfield. And there has been a lot of talks about West Ham's Declan Rice, and I think he probably would be the right solution for Manchester United. Declan Rice, he's 20 years of age. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him. His performances this season for West Ham have been fantastic indeed as well. Of Declan's Rice, he's only 20, as I said. He's been in the West Ham senior squad quite a few years. He's got a contract with them until 2024 that he signed back in December as well last year. But he's doing well, very, very well this season under Manuel Pellegrini's Declan Rice. I think West Ham would demand that they want around £50 million for Declan Rice. So do you think if he was to come in, do you think he'd blend in our midfield very, very well? Because I think he's mainly defensive mid. He can play as a centre back, but I think he's mainly a defensive midfielder to be quite honest with you as well. He's Declan Rice. There's been a lot of talks about Bruno Fernandes, that Sporting Lisbon player as well. He's got a release clause of around 90 million in his deal with Sporting Lisbon. He's tied up very, very well in Portugal, and I think he's mainly an attacking midfielder, to be quite honest with you. I think he's 24, so as I did say, he has got a lot of years ahead of him. But I think Manchester United have been in negotiations with his representatives as well. Bruno Fernandes is. So yeah, there has been a lot of talks about that going on as well. So Man United have been heavily linked with Bruno Fernandes. I think a few teams have been interested in him. Obviously, he's a former San Pandora. He's also a former Udinese player as well as Bruno Fernandes. But he's 24 years of age, and he's still got a lot of years ahead of him as well. We do know the club have also, been interested in what's his name now, Joao Felix as well, from Benfica, 19 years of age, also Portuguese, he's tied up very, very well in Portugal, only broke into the Benfica first team last year, but his performances have been very, very good indeed. Man United scouts have been watching him on a regular basis, based on his fantastic performances as well. I think he's got a buyout clause of around £100 million as Joao Felix as well, so, there has been talks about him in the past as well, and but potentially, as I did say, I think, obviously Jadon Sancho, I still think is the club's number one priority target. And I think Jadon Sancho would be the right solution for Manchester United. He's just recently turned 19 not too long ago. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents. And I think he'd blend in very, very well and link up very, very well alongside the likes of Rashford and Martial in our front line. And we need someone that can play between the bylines, put crosses into the box as well. And Jadon Sancho is capable of doing this. And we do know he's going to cost us around £100 million this summer. That's what he's probably, rated at, Jadon Sancho, so he's going to cost us a 9-figure sum of around £100 million. But there's been a narrative going on about this now for at least the last 5 or 6 6 weeks, should I say, or something like that as well. But he's proven himself fantastically well in Germany, you know, with Borussia Dortmund. You know, he's got immense talent, you know, as Jadon Sancho as well. You know, reports did say, was it the other week, saying that he was interested in making a return to Manchester as well with Jadon Sancho. So there has been a lot of talks that Manchester United have been heavily linked with him as well, and I think he is the club's number one priority target. But as I was saying, you know, as I did say earlier on in the video, you know, reflecting to today's game, you know, I thought first half we did really well, but we're just not creating enough chances. You know, we're not being ruthless enough in front of goal, and I thought the game was totally different in the second half. You know, it died down a bit. You know, we failed to replicate, you know, what we did in that first half as well, and it was a good goal from Juan Mata. Don't get me wrong, you know, the build-up play, you know, was very good. You know, a lovely little dinker from Romelu Lukaku, you know, to find, you know, Luke Shaw, and then Luke Shaw, you know, gets a great assist, you know, to find Juan Mata in that 6-yard box as well, and yeah, and it was very good. The majority of the first half I thought we played very well. You know, it was better performance, you know, that we have seen in the last, you know, 6 or 7 games at least, but as Dick currently say, you know, the second half was a totally different game. You know, Chelsea found their stride, they got into the game. Did Chelsea? I thought defensively they did better in the second half as well. You know, did Chelsea, but you know, obviously Rudiger went off for them injured as well. You know, their equaliser, you know, shouldn't have really happened, you know, to be quite honest, you know, just before half time. You know, Rudiger, it was a good shot from Rudiger, you know, De Gea, you know, should have really caught that, to be quite honest, you know, dropped it, and then that leaves Marco Alonso in, you know, to equalise. So you can say potentially, you know, David De Gea has cost us that game, you know, to be quite honest with you. The 7 minutes, obviously, you know, at the end of the game, you know, came from the injuries and all that, and the substitutes, as you all know, did the 7 minutes in the game. You know, Rojo was unlucky, you know, he came on, you know, had a header cleared off the line as well. I can recall Chelsea having a chance right at the end through Gonzalo Higuain as well, but as I did currently say, you know, we've got to fix these problems at Manchester United in the summer, and then see what happens next season as well, and that's all we can potentially, you know, do, guys, you know, to be quite honest with you. So anyway, drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider so. The 2 remaining games just before I go is Huddersfield and Cardiff, as you all know. And they're 2 games, you know, Manchester United, you know, should definitely win as well. Obviously, we know Huddersfield are relegated, as you all know. You know, Cardiff, I'm not too sure if they're relegated. I'll have to have a look at that, but yeah, they are Manchester United's 2 remaining fixtures as well. So anyway, drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very soon.